Let's look at this example in which the whole taxability of coupons on bonds is analyzed. Spectre Corporation has bonds that give a 7% return per year, so that's their yield. Municipal bonds that an investor could buy instead yield a 5% return per year. So let's say we have investor James, who is in a 30% federal income tax bracket, right? So any income is taxed at 30% rate. Would he prefer buying Spectre Corporation's bonds or the municipal bonds? So at the first glance, it looks like his return would be higher if he buys the Spectre Corporation's bonds, right? So we are talking about 7% being above 5%. But wait a second, remember, corporate bonds are taxed. So it could be that after taxes, the return on these corporate bonds is below 5%. So let's check that. So we need to compare the after-tax or the effective returns to this investor. Corporate bonds are taxed, and so after taxes, the return will be only 4.9%, which is calculated by taking the before tax return, 7%, which is given, and multiplying by 1 minus 0.3, the 30% tax rate. And the municipal bonds are not taxed. The coupons received from municipal bonds are not taxable. And so the effective rate is as given, 5%. And now you can see which bonds would be more desirable for this investor, James. It's the municipal bonds with a higher after-tax return. There is another type of calculation that could be done when we are comparing bonds with taxable versus bonds with non-taxable coupon payments. For example, we can calculate at which federal income tax rate an investor would break even. In other words, be indifferent between buying corporate bonds and municipal bonds. And what we need to do is basically set equal the after-tax yields. So after-tax yield on the corporate bonds with the 7% yield that was given would be equal to 7% multiplied by, open parenthesis, 1 minus some tax rate, close parenthesis. And that needs to equal 5%, which is given for the municipal bonds. So we are asked essentially to calculate the tax rate that would make both sides equal to 5%, right? The after-tax return on the municipal bonds is 5% as given, and so is the after-tax return on the corporate bonds. To solve this little equation, we can first move 0.07 to the right, and mathematically we would be dividing 0.05 on the right hand side by 0.07. And now on the left hand side we are just left with 1 minus t. And then we want to have t equals and then everything else. So we want to get rid of 1. And the easiest way to do it is to leave t on the left hand side. Actually, I first simplified the fraction. So 0.05 over 0.07 equals 0.7143. And then t will equal 1 minus 0.7143. And when you simplify it, you get 0.2857. In other words, the tax rate that you would need to face in order for you to be indifferent between buying corporate bonds and municipal bonds would be 28.57%. And this is kind of the general formula that you would apply in problems like this. So to find the break-even tax rate, you do 1 minus a fraction where In the numerator, you have the percentage yield on municipal bonds, and in the denominator, you have percentage yield on corporate bonds.